If you've been investing in a few single-family homes, a duplex, or maybe a quad, and you're ready to really grow your real estate portfolio by venturing into the world of commercial multifamily rentals, basically anything over 5 units, then you might also be wondering about the added risk and exposure that comes with a larger investment. Of course, as a homeowner and or beginner investor, you're well aware of some of the basics surrounding insurance. But what kinds of policies should you consider when investing in larger multifamily? Hi everyone, this is Brandon with Coastline Equity, a property management company based out here in Southern California. And today we want to help answer that question by briefly explaining some of the common insurance policies that multifamily investors might have. So let's jump into it. Let's start with the building itself, the physical asset. This is likely one of, if not the largest investments you've ever made. So pay close attention to property insurance, which generally covers the physical structure from damage due to fire, explosions, natural elements, and weather. Those are often those nightmare scenarios where a tenant accidentally starts a cooking fire in the kitchen, which causes damage throughout the apartment, or perhaps where a particularly heavy storm brings down a tree branch onto your roof. So obviously, property insurance is essential, and there are various ways to help lower its cost. For example, you can work with your insurance provider to see if adding things like fire suppression products to your units will save you money on insurance. General liability protects you against claims for bodily injury and third-party property damage. For example, a tenant is heading out to work in the morning when they slip down a flight of stairs in the stairwell, requiring a trip to the hospital and missing weeks of work. They sue the property owner for damages to cover medical expenses, lawyers' fees, and lost wages, stating that the stairs were not well maintained and prone to causing falls. Or maybe the injured party is a vendor that your property manager has scheduled for repairs. An accident occurs while the job is being done, and the vendor decides to sue. Their attorney, of course, will seek damages from both your property manager and you as the landlord. To protect yourself against scenarios like this, multifamily property owners need to carry liability coverage that is sufficient for their property type and size. Now, property insurance and general liability insurance can be seen as the more foundational and perhaps obvious policies to have. But these next two are fantastic supports to your insurance wall, starting with business income coverage. This type of policy will take effect when some kind of damage to your property causes an interruption to your normal business income. Let's say, for example, mold was detected in your building and resulted in a number of units being vacated while repairs are made. Your policy will consider the amount of rent that is typically collected, the amount that is needed to repair the building and return to normal operations, and the amount of time that the business income will be interrupted for. One important thing to note here is that although you may notice that your property insurance and liability insurance policies already have some coverage for when your income is disrupted, you're only entitled to those payouts when you are not responsible for the damages. Those policies will not cover losses due to damage caused by your negligence. If the mold issue was the result of repairs that were ignored or not handled properly, a business income policy will be able to cover those costs. Lastly, it can also help you in the event that your income loss is not related to property damage at all, but rather to a tenant's failure to pay rent or their eviction. Lastly, you have the umbrella policy. This provides additional coverage in order to close any gaps left behind from your other policies, particularly your general liability insurance. It provides an additional layer of coverage that kicks in once the limits of your initial policies have been exceeded. For example, let's say that a tenant is injured at the property, makes a claim, and that you, the landlord, are found liable. Your liability insurance policy will pay the initial claim, but if the payout is more than what your liability policy covers, the umbrella insurance policy will be able to cover the remaining balance. So we've gone over the 4 main types of insurance that you'll want to consider for your multifamily property. But there are other policies that may be good to consider as well. An equipment breakdown policy can provide coverage for damage caused by the mechanical breakdown of equipment, such as hot water heaters or air conditioners. And building ordinance policies can protect you from large financial burdens caused by changes to city laws and construction regulations. Yes, it can be a lot to look into, but each investor will need to analyze the cash flow of their property and shop for insurance quotes in order to find out what makes sense for their investment strategy. Fortunately, the added revenue that is typically brought in when moving from a smaller residential building up to a larger multifamily building can often help to support the costs of more expansive forms of insurance coverage. Now remember, all of this information is about the insurance policies that you want to consider for yourself as the landlord. Of course, you'll also want to make sure that other people at the building are playing their part as well in protecting you and the property, which is why topics such as requiring renter's insurance from your tenants, insurance that you ask your go-to vendors to carry, as well as the insurance that your property management company maintains, all deserve their own separate videos. We'll include links to the ones that we've made down below in the description. We've also made a video on the topic of forming an LLC for your property because, as the name suggests, setting up a limited liability company is another way to protect your investment from unexpected events. So again, look for the link down below in the description. Although it's not the most glamorous topic, insurance should be one of the first things that an investor thinks about when assessing deals for a new property. It's best to have a trusted insurance broker on hand as you're running those numbers. If you got any value out of this video, please don't forget to hit those like, subscribe, and notification buttons down below. Although Coastline Equity has been in business for over 40 years, our YouTube channel is relatively new, and every bit of support really helps us to grow and deliver more content to you. From all of us here at Coastline Equity, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.